Hey Shay, how are you?
How are you?
Fantastic. Super excited to hang out with you today.
I'm really excited about meeting you and hearing about your journey. I hear good things. So listen, before I tell you about you, why don't you introduce yourself to the Cool Careers audience?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Bri Tye. Everyone calls me Bri. I go by Bri. I guess the easiest way to put it is I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm a parent. And I'm an old washed up basketball player. We might talk a little bit about that. But I think that'll summarize me in a few words.
First of all, I don't think you should put old in any of your descriptions because your face looks very young, and it's nice to have kind of a round face, because that's what I say. That's what keeps us looking young. So listen, when I got the phone call that Amazon was interested in introducing their Cool Careers on the podcast, your name was a part of a few names. And I found that to be, I'm like, I can't wait to meet her. So why don't you tell everybody what you do at Amazon, what's your daily, what's your title, and then what your day-to-day looks like?
Absolutely. So I am a regional director of operations for Amazon, and super excited that I get to share my story. So my day-to-day, I'm actually responsible for Amazon Robotics site in South Texas. Really, I think of it as I really try strategically to help my sites be set up for success, set the vision, right? And then think about people at a macro level. And that's all that within our fulfillment centers that includes. So, and within that, I think the interesting thing is I started with Amazon as a seasonal or temporary associate in 2013. And since that time, I've been able to hold all roles within our fulfillment center network, and super excited to just talk a little bit about that and what maybe my day-to-day entails.
Well, it sounds like you got your hands full with all those locations. Now, I know it sounds like you've been with Amazon for a bit, so we want to talk about that in a bit. Tell me how relationships and connections have been, I would say, impactful to you in your career, especially at Amazon.
Yeah. I love that question, Shay. They're extremely important. I think it's one of the things that I prioritize right now in my role, and what I find super interesting, rewarding right now. But in terms of my career and what role they've played, I think mentorship, sponsorship, they've all been super pivotal.
This is how I like to start off the conversation, because people typically have a few people or a few stories that really impact, how they get to one step to the next. Can you walk us through your Amazon journey? You start off as a seasonal employee. Were you doing something else at that particular time, or you wanted to work part-time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I said I played college basketball, and I coached college basketball. I was a graduate assistant as I got my master's degree, and that was the plan. Like, I was going to play basketball, and as soon as I couldn't play anymore, either I wasn't making enough shots or I was turning the ball over too much because I was a point guard. I was going to transition fully into coaching. It's something that I still am super passionate about. And so within that time in my journey, I needed a summer job, and I was working a summer job. And it wasn't super enjoyable. We talk about that later, you and I. And I drove past this Amazon building. I lived in Lebanon, Tennessee at the time. And I was like, I had just kind of gotten into the Amazon thing. I ordered a couple things. It was awesome. And I was like, it's got to be better than what I'm doing, so I'm going to check it out, right? So I actually, at the time, walked into the staffing agency, and I asked them the question. I was like, hey, I have a job now, is this going to be like, is it at least going to last me through the summer? Like, how does this look? And they were like, absolutely. So I joined. It was so different from any of the other, whether it was warehousing or manufacturing jobs that I had worked previously. And I plan to be at Amazon for summer, and it's been a little bit longer than a summer now.
The longest summer ever.
I moved to Houston, so summer's all the time. It was just a super great experience. I majored in college in business administration, and I didn't consider, logistics or anything along those lines, supply chain. And when I got in, I really was intrigued with the leadership, the relationship building, the impact, the decision making. And I came to work every day wanting to do my best. And from there, it kind of took off. I realized, hey, I wanted to be a coach because I wanted to help mentor young women, help figure out, like, what do you want to be in life? Like, what do you want to do? What are we going to do when basketball's over, when you get finished with school or you're looking for other things, even at a younger age? And I realized I got the opportunity to do this, but with a ton more people, have the latitude to move around and influence folks. And I had some really good, we talked about relationship buildings, mentors and leaders that were just really good people that said, hey, this may be an opportunity for you. So from there, I became an entry-level manager. And my journey, I'll describe it really quickly for you, was I was in Tennessee. I had the opportunity to go to Atlanta for a short-term assignment as an entry-level area manager. Came back, went to the Boston area to launch a building as an operations manager, which was that first time where I'm leading folks that are leading other leaders, right? And then I had a 3-month STA in Australia, which I helped as we turned the website live there to build some processes. So that was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a super unique experience for me. It was the first time I left the country, actually. So really, really awesome. And then came back to the States, came down to Houston as a senior leader within our fulfillment network. Had the opportunity to go to the Pacific Northwest in Salem, Oregon, and launch a building as a site leader, and then came back down to Houston where I was a general manager. And then in 2020, transitioned into a multi-site director role, leading into my current role here. So been all over the place, and it's just been an amazing experience. And it all started from me walking into a staffing agency and saying, I need a temporary job. And that was really a springboard into my career.
First of all, tell me about your basketball career. I want to hear about, you said you were a point guard. Tell me, and you were living in Tennessee. Can we talk about this a little bit? We're going to rewind a bit.
Yeah. I never, anytime someone wants to talk basketball, I'm all for it. So, so I started my college career. I played at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, which is in Indianapolis proper.
Yes.
That was my first year. Played basketball there. I then transferred to a junior college and to go through the whole recruitment process. And then went to Robert Morris University in Moon Township, PA. And then finally finished at a small school, Cumberland University, which is where I graduated from and got my master's from, which was in Lebanon, Tennessee, which is what kind of led me to Tennessee. And without going there, that's what led me to my first building, BNA2. In Tennessee.
And it sounds like you're utilizing your coaching in your work. It sounds like you were still doing all of those things that you wanted to do, the mentoring, the empowering women and working with them. And it sounds like all of those things that you learned from teamwork and working on a team and working with a team is now being implemented in your career. Well done. I like it. Now, are you utilizing like lots of basketball analogies and stuff like that all the time?
Yes. And I try to stay away from the Michael Jordan ones. I really do. So I reference Steph Curry a lot, I will say. And then just this week, actually, I shared a video from a Georgia Tech football strength and conditioning coach. So I try to switch it up. I don't want to be super predictable and it's always going to be basketball quotes or whatever it may be. So I use the football one this week, I'll admit.
Are you saying your dream was to possibly go and coach on a college level, or did you want to go overseas? Like, what were your plans?
Yeah, I'll be honest, like, women's basketball has changed so much since just over the last 20 years. So my original dream was to play in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And then finally it was like to play in the WNBA. and then play professionally, and then that changed. And then when I graduated with my undergrad, I realized I could pursue playing, but I had really developed this true, genuine passion for helping people figure out what do you want to do, right? Because I had a ton of opportunity and a ton of exposure to different leadership styles, different cultures, all of these things, by the way, which play a huge part in what I do today. And it really shifted my mindset. So I had the opportunity to either get my master's and be a graduate assistant, right, which was the time that I coached at Cumberland University, where I graduated. And that is what ultimately I decided I wanted to do, because I wanted to shift. I wanted to make an impact bigger than me.
Can you give me a good, I would say, a snapshot of your normal day from the time you get into, not necessarily the office, right? You actually go to a huge building. When you first arrive, what is your day like, and what is it, and how does your day typically progress? Yeah,
I love that you said normal, because I'm like, is there such thing as a normal day, working day for any of us anymore? I don't know. But I'll give you the breakdown of kind of what my day looks like. And I don't go into a building every single day. As a general manager, I went into a building every single day, but I have the luxury that all of my sites are within driving distance. So I do get to spend a significant amount of time with them, which I truly enjoy. But my day, I wake up, check our internal communications to follow up with my teams on any call outs, needs, whatever it may be from prior day. Obviously, check email. I think we check emails just as much as we check text these days, right? Review any KPIs, like key process indicators. And then I think the cool thing to highlight is each day has a separate part of the weekly cadence for myself and our team. And what I really try to do is make sure that we set it up in a way that as a team, we get together and engage once a day on something. It may be safety one day, it may be how are we doing, right? How are we servicing our customers? Because that's our ultimate goal. How are we doing for people? Seeking feedback for myself, one-on-ones, talking about personal development for folks on my team, or team development, or if it's just reviewing our operating plan, right? Maybe the next 8 to 12 weeks, and what does that look like? But when you think about it, it's like all of those things that go with, these buildings are like small towns, right? So when you think about all the things that a small town or running a small town entails, like those are the things that we're talking about each and every day. And every day is different, right? And that's what I really, truly enjoy. Like, I can't predict what one day is going to be. I know what's on the calendar. I know what meetings we're going to have. I know what the things we're going to talk about at a high level. But it's always has the opportunity to go a different direction. Most of the time good. So that's a little glimpse into what my day-to-day looks like.
And what do you think the best part of your job is?
Oh, easy. People.
I love it.
Absolutely, hands down.
How many people are reporting to you?
Okay. Direct reports. I have 7 direct reports of leaders, of people that I have the pleasure of being a leader of. But within that, our buildings span, those folks will be running buildings that have 3,500 people in them, upwards of over 4,000 people sometimes, both exempt and non-exempt. And the South Texas region, by the end of October, will be 5 buildings. That will all be made up kind of similarly.
Basically, all the things that you're talking about, you mentioned, your job being a little analytical. It kind of sounded like you were looking at KPIs, you're looking at numbers and metrics and that sort of thing. That's not what I really expected from your role or for you to even mention. So can you highlight a few things that might be misconceptions of your job or even of Amazon in a whole?
Yeah. So first I'll start with, I don't get the stuff I order off Amazon for free, and I don't get free Prime. Yeah, I don't. That's not part of it. Yeah. Like when people find out I work for Amazon, and I don't get too far into the details of what exactly I do. Like 9 times out of 10, that's the question I get. And I'm like, unfortunately not. And no, I don't know exactly when your particular package is coming, right? I don't have that. I don't know the last order that like maybe Kevin Hart ordered. I can't look that up. I promise I can't.
That's hilarious. I love it. Now, you don't go and just get your packages off a shelf?
No,
or you wait
know?
for them to show up at your doorstep like everyone else?
Like everyone else. I'll tell you though, we do pretty good about getting it to me when I was expecting it. Anytime it ships from one of the buildings within my region, I'm like, kudos. And I talk to them sometimes, I'm like, hey, like Q2, our building in Greenspoint, you guys are probably shipping most of my stuff, and we make jokes about it, so it's fun.
I love it.
It's fun. But I think those are a couple of the things. I think I'll give another anecdote. Like one day on our street, there were 2 delivery drivers, right? And they're like, hey, why didn't they just put all the stuff in the same truck? And I'm like, our delivery service providers, right? Like Amazon is Amazon to everyone, right? Breaking up fulfillment, which is what I kind of specialize in or focus on, is totally different from our Amazon last mile, folks that deliver packages or our buildings that sort packages. So it's always cool being able to talk through that and say like Amazon or Prime Video is different than what I'm doing. Like it's always awesome because when you see Amazon, like, and I say I work for Amazon, you think it's all encompassing, but it's not my specificity. So that's some of the things that I usually talk through from a misconception standpoint.
If someone came up to you and said, Bri, I'm interested in an Amazon role, do you refer to a particular role? Is there a great role to get started out at Amazon that you feel that you've had or you see that you think that's really pivotal for people's career at Amazon?
I say a lot. I'll tell you, you can be whatever you want to be at Amazon. Like that is the absolute coolest thing about it. So what my favorite role is going to be different. I love the time I spent in direct pass, and I love my time as an area manager where I just got to literally remove barriers for people, get to know people, talk to people, and really play a pivotal part in their individual success. And I love getting super close to the process, right? Like having a hand in being the packer who gets somebody their package, especially during the pandemic, like being able to go out and pack diapers or pack paper towels or cleaning supplies for folks that can't go out and get it. Like you don't feel much more fulfilled than that, and like serving a bigger purpose. And I think sometimes we don't talk about that enough. Like I love that. But if I was to talk about a role that was my favorite within the company, I love being a general manager. I love coming into the building every day, seeing how we were doing, seeing how happy folks within the building were, figuring out how to solve complex issues that didn't deal with how we're shipping packages or how we're bringing stuff in, really figuring out a way to make folks' lives better, right? Like we spend a lot of time at work, sometimes more time than we spend with our families, and any small part that I've been able to play in making that more enjoyable, it really sticks with me. So I think that'd probably be the best answer for sure.
When you've had to go from one position to the next, how was the transition? Do you apply? Does someone suggest it for you? Do you go seeking for it? How does it work, or how has it worked for you?
Yes, definitely an application process. Depending on what you're doing, like we have, as you could expect with most organizations, there's lateral movement, there's promotion movement, so you're moving up vertically. The cool thing about Amazon is like you can move into total different business units, right? Like you can go from being a people leader within fulfillment to being a program manager for Prime Video, right? And a lot of times within a lot of organizations or companies, you don't have the opportunity to do that, right? You don't have the opportunity to come in as an entry-level manager, but you studied marketing and know that long-term you want to get back to that and have that career path within the same organization and not having to start over. So it varies depending on what you're doing. There's promotions that happen within your building that you don't necessarily apply to, right? Like based on performance and how you do that happens. But if there's a different location from a geographic standpoint you want to get to, you can apply. If there's a different role that's within your wheelhouse or you're just super passionate about it and want to explore it, you can do that. So for me, that's been what it is, you know, like opportunities, or we've launched buildings. A lot of times when I've moved, it's based on opening a building somewhere. which I'm really passionate about. I love establishing a culture. So any part I can play in that, I'm always for it. But the application process comes into play, and then we have a pretty cool process where if you've been enrolled and it's a lateral transfer, and you applied first, you got a really good opportunity to move into that space. But if it's a job that requires specific skills, you'll go through an interview process, talk about why or how that's relative to anything that you've done in your experiences. So it's a really cool, robust program.
Any advice for any person that's interested in working at Amazon? This month, of September, you guys have this career theme, like awesomeness happening, that I've been hearing all about. Any advice of anyone that's coming in, what to expect? Any advice coming into a new organization, especially from someone who builds cultures for spaces and for the locations?
I love answering this question because it's something that's near and dear to me. You can be whoever you want to be within Amazon, right? When you think about finding a place that values you and not just values what you bring to the company is a big, big, big deal. So you have something to offer. Come in, right? Like there are going to be you're going to learn. There's going to be a learning curve, but you come and you bring your best self every day, and ask questions, even the questions that you're like, I don't want to be the person to ask. I promise someone else is thinking it 100%. Like we move too fast and we grow so fast. Someone else is thinking it. We build a ton of processes to help give you the resources and training to help so you don't have to ask those questions, but you will. You can be whoever you want to be. Bring yourself and communicate, right? Like your leaders or your roles only know what you want to do if you tell them, right? And that's something that I had to learn throughout my process, is like getting comfortable with saying, hey, I'm interested in this, or I want to do this, or this is really this seems cool to me. And you'll have people who are super committed to helping you find that path for you. But I think coming into an organization and bringing your true self is probably the best advice I can give you, because it is so important, and it's something that we value. And there's so many different ways you can go with it. But it only works if you come in and you hit a wall, you climb over that wall, you hit a wall again, you climb over that wall, but it's normal and you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you do that, I think that you're going to set yourself up for success, and you're going to have a really enjoyable experience and in a career, a long-lasting career.
Can you, before we go, can you tell me about the robotics part of your job? Because I heard you speak about that and I didn't follow up the way I wanted to. So can you tell us how how that works with your role? We want to be the world's best employer and safest employer, right? And there's some misconceptions with some of our automation or our robots. So I'm actually new to Amazon robotics, by the way. I've spent the majority of my time in a different business vertical. I spent a lot of time shipping folks stuff the size of Instapots or diapers or bigger. In March, I transitioned into Amazon robotics. And when you think about like phone cases or small things, that's what we focus on shipping out, which is a huge part of our business, right? And the robotics piece is a type of automation that really allows us to reduce some variability and make the jobs for our teams a little bit easier. So in various ways, the robots are just a vehicle to get product either to a person or from a person. So if you've seen any of the videos, I know that a lot of folks probably ask questions about drones, things like that. They're these robotic drives that will bring pods of product or take pods of product or bins, right, away from people. And it's really cool to see the technology behind it. So we call it Amazon robotics because that's the differentiator, right? We have those in the building where some buildings don't. And it's really cool to see in person. So some of your new facilities that you spoke about earlier, will they have this capability? All of them. You spoke of just the human nature of caring about people. caring about their careers and their happiness, overall happiness on a daily basis. So that spoke to me in this conversation and then with the other conversations that I had as well. So I think that's really great. This has been such a great conversation. You had an amazing career. And I like everything that you were saying about, your basketball career and your role and how it's just so relevant to your day-to-day. So congratulations on being just an amazing star.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Super cool to chat with you, Shay. I think I just love, it doesn't matter what you did before Amazon. It's going to be relevant in some capacity because we're people, right? And we have a ton of people that are on our teams and that are within our organization. And the last time I checked, no matter what you did, you interacted with people outside. So I super appreciate you having me today, Shay, and just hearing a little bit about what I do day to day and my journey and how honestly the folks that are on my team make my job so much more enjoyable. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bri. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. See ya.